Hello, welcome back to How to Game Differently. Today we are having a good old discussion about Pokemon Legends Arceus or Arceus, however you pronounce the game. But we're not alone. No, we've got the wonderful Avalon from Avalon, and we've got the wonderful Ty from Down the Warp Pipe. So, like I say, we're going to be having a discussion about the game, and to kick things off, we're going to start off with our likes and dislikes. So, just as a disclaimer, Ty hasn't actually bought the game or even played the game. So you may be confused to why he's here. So are we, but
I hacked in.
He somehow got into the chat. No, we thought it'd be good to have his outsider perspective because you've been watching a friend playing it, correct?
Yeah, so two of my close friends actually have been playing it like pretty much nonstop. And at one point, one of them was playing Fall Guys with us, and then whenever she lost, she would go play Pokemon. So
did she play?
I do have an interest in playing it. Yes, she does.
Very good. So likes and dislikes. So Avalon has done a whole essay about what he likes and dislikes for the game. So kick things off for us.
Absolutely. I mean, I got a bit of a reputation which came up in your Breath of the Wild video of always having something negative to say, and boy, do I have something negative to say right out the gate with the starter Pokemon. So like the three starter Pokemon, you're never going to be happy with it if they reuse it. I mean, I would have liked to see Bulbasaur. I'm sure some people would like to see like, I don't know, Chestnut, whatever that one was called. I can't remember now, but we got those three. But they made Hisuian versions of them, and like Decidueye and Typhlosion, or I at least think, look terrible. I know that you've got your little Cyndaquil with you there, so I don't know if you want to add your opinion on Hisuian Typhlosion, but you cannot defend that ridiculous owl with his stupid hat.
Oh, yeah. Yes, Decidueye fighting type, because they all got new types as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, Decidueye fighting just looks ridiculous. Yeah, I don't like the design because his whole color palette changes as well.
Exactly. Yeah, he goes from like the green in his baby and middle state, and then suddenly he's orange, as if like autumn just suddenly hit him. It's crazy.
It would have been cool if it was that each season he could change color, because they have done that with a couple of Pokemon in the past. There was like that deer Pokemon for Black and White 2 that had a whole season change.
Yeah, that would actually be really cool.
Yeah, they need to do that more. But going off your question, the Typhlosion, when I first saw it, because I did see a couple of the leaks, and obviously they're just stills, I just thought, this looks crap. What have they done to my boy? This is just not right. But in game, he looks a lot better to me. I quite appreciate his animations, because when he comes out into battle, he gets his ghostly flames, but he also does like a little click, and then the flame comes out of his finger, which I thought looks pretty cool.
What, like he's in an awful 80s musical?
Yeah.
Or is it more like Colonel Mustang?
He's not a gangster.
From Full Metal?
Oh yeah.
Sorry, Ty, what was that?
That's the question. Is it more Colonel Mustang from Full Metal Alchemist?
No.
That's the question. No? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
No.
That would have been cool if it was that.
No, they all seem to be kind of based off kind of like Japanese history of, I think, different clan members, like leaders. That's kind of what I got from it. I don't know the full lore. I'm sure it's out there somewhere, but I haven't read it yet. But yeah, like I say, it's not as good as the original, but it's decent enough. I still think he should have been fire ground type. I think that would have been much better, because he is a volcano. That's his whole thing. He's a volcano.
Yeah, that would make more sense.
Yeah, but made him ghost type, so it's not too bad. Samurott looks pretty cool.
Yeah, I thought he looked all right. Like it was really only the yellowy stuff that changed, kind of like a black thing.
Yeah,
I didn't really care for Oshawott in whatever game he came out with. Was that
Black and White?
Was that Black and White? Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't pick him up. Didn't care for him too much. But Yeah, out of the 3 starter evolutions in this game, definitely, I think that Samurot's got the best deal.
Yeah, he's definitely got the best design, but I'm not too sure on the. It's weird because they all got new move sets, and they're not very good. Like their signature moves.
Mm.
Like, was it type Fosion gets a ghost one, which is pretty much Hex, but a weaker Hex. It just gives you a chance to burn.
The Decidueye fighting type one triple arrow is pretty good as far as moves go.
I've not looked at that one. So Ty, out of the 3, what would you have picked?
Well, I would have went with the same thing as back in the day with Silver, which would have been Cyndaquil.
Yes. I knew I liked you for a reason.
Yeah. No, honestly, I was always drawn to the fire types, although as I got older, I did switch to be Squirtle Squad for red and blue, but usually I just end up going with the fire types.
Yeah, so some games, they're probably the best fire types to get. Like revisiting Diamond and Pearl with Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl, you're very limited to fire types. Like if you don't get Chimchar, the only option is Ponyta, and that's like the only 2 fire types, unless you go into the underground and get them from there. But you know, from the original, there was only 2 fire types. Seems a bit naff. Yeah, anyway, back to Legends Arceus. So Avalon had, like I say, had done a good old essay, and he's kind of done a good breakdown. So I'm going to be stealing his ideas. Overworld. Let's have a discussion about the overworld. So from the original trailer, it looked like it was an open world game. Now, as we know, this isn't the case. It's more of a Monster Hunter formula where you've got a town, you've got regions that you can go out to, but you're always returning back to that town to pick up quests, do a bit of crafting, and getting your mission for the next place. What do we think of that formula?
So, full disclosure, I'm a huge fan of Monster Hunter. I think they are wicked good games. And when you separate the game out like that, it gives you some really good opportunities from game design, level design, those sort of points. With that said, this particular game did not take advantage of that at all. It's really disappointing, to be honest. Like some of the graphics are just atrocious. It's literally just 2D textures slapped onto a 3D object. And when you're loading separate instances, you don't really have that excuse. If you've got these long loading screens between the sections anyway, what is the game loading in the background? It's not loading a bunch of Pokemon entities because they spawn as they enter your draw distance. So it's just loading the static graphics. And like I gave Breath of the Wild quite a lot of leeway in its graphics when I sort of spoke about that, because it's all there. The whole world is loaded in, and yes, I know it loads in entities as you get closer, and people have moaned about that. But the static images and such are all at least cached somewhere. Whereas this, you load new sections, and it just looks so bad. It looks so 2D.
Yeah, I think it's typical Game Freak. They seem to, even though they have all the money in the world, they just don't want to invest it because they just know these things will sell. Ty, you got to say something.
Let's be clear about something here. Pokemon, as far as I understand, is the #1 selling franchise for anything in the world.
Yeah.
Like, let's put that in perspective. It's the #1 anything. It beats out the MCU. Like, for money.
Disney. It's bigger than Disney. It's bigger than Hello Kitty.
Yeah, exactly, which is crazy. And here's the thing. Back when the Pokemon games were, well, when I used to play them a lot of this era of game on my Game Boy Color, and okay, yeah, it's sprite based, cool, whatever. And then they moved over to the DS with, white and black, and then over to the 3DS. Cool, they did the graphics upgrades there, everything made sense. And then this kind of weird, ugly looking game that probably was a 3DS game and then just got ported over to the Switch came out, which, I mean, it was still enjoyable, but it is what it is. And then this comes out, and for all of the things that they did to change up the formula, which is great, why didn't they spend some money on getting some good? And here's the thing, it's not necessarily the graphics that are to blame here. It could be the back-end programming for how to load the assets in and how they're managing things, or just a number of level of detail assets that are in there. So for anyone that doesn't know, the way that games would work to load those things in is they would have to make different versions of each art asset for different distances and program it in to originally do that. The first game to really do anything of that sort of nature was actually Soul Reaver, way back in the day on the original PlayStation. But the whole thing is that system's been around for like 20 years, just the general concept. I mean, even look at Skyrim. You can't tell me that they couldn't have put a little bit more money. And I know the Switch is old hardware, but if you can make Breath of the Wild on it, you can make this look better. That being said, I mean, at least it doesn't look awful. It doesn't look like a student project, but it just looks like something that was once again ported over from the 3DS in terms of how I feel, at least.
You haven't seen
One
the
thing
grass.
I will give credit to him, however, is with the move animations. So
Yeah.
obviously in Sword and Shield, they got a lot of backlash for the what's the polite way of putting this? Lazy. Yeah,
The
lazy
lack
grouped
of-
animations.
Yeah.
Trying to remain political. But this game, they brought in some really, really good animations, and I felt so far, at least from what I've seen, the majority of moves that I'm using are at least unique or like it makes sense for that move. So for example, when I use Flame Wheel as my Ponyta, it turns into a circle of fire.
Yeah.
Which, yes, it's not a wheel, but at least it makes sense for Flame Wheel.
But
and
I think the reason behind that is because there's very few moves in this game. It's another thing they've brought in, that there's very small move pool for everyone. I think a Pokemon on average learns 8 moves naturally, and then there's about potentially 4 to 10 moves they can get from Move Tutor. But they got a brilliant feature, which I think needs to be staple, that you can switch out your moves whenever you want. So there's no forget.
That's good.
A move. If you want to go back and reuse a move, you can without any problem. And even if it's like a Move Tutor or even TMs, HMs, or whatever it is in the future, it sticks to that Pokemon, that individual Pokemon, which I think's definitely something you need to keep with.
One thing I was really surprised with that, actually, when you look at like the Monster Hunter clear influence, is that you could switch your moves out in the field. I thought this would be you're at your base camp, so you can switch your moves around. But as long as you're not spotted by a Pokemon, as long as you're not in combat, then you can switch your moves. Which means, like, say you've got I don't know, a Snorlax, and it can learn Thunder Punch, Fire Punch, or Ice Punch. You can have it sitting with Ice Punch, and then you see that you're coming up against a strong grass enemy, and just switch it out for Fire Punch. Although, why you'd switch ice to fire, that's a really bad example. But you know what I mean. The point stands.
Yeah,
exactly.
Like, the problem with something like that in terms of game design is that, like, when you come down to it, having the ability to switch them out is great. But if you're just going to make it something like that where you can see the Pokemon in the distance, which I think is a good call, they should have done that a long time ago. But I mean, it was done in Mario RPG for geez. But like, if you get to that, where you're switching out the different moves and you can see the other Pokemon, like, it doesn't matter that you can switch moves out. You might as well just have a list of moves like every other JRPG, where they can learn all these moves. They have a list of them all there. You aren't limited in the number of moves. You may be limited in move, like the number of times you can use that move, in the same way I've always liked how Pokemon's done that, versus having a main sort of like mana pool, so to speak. But it doesn't matter if you can switch them out at any time like that. It's a good feature to have, but there needs to be some sort of restriction on it. Like you said, having it at base camp where you can change it out in base camp. So you're kind of committing to it, rather than something where it's like, oh, there's something over there, I'm just going to change to the applicable thing. It's like being able to change your Pokemon out from your team at any given time. It creates great flexibility and accessibility, but there's ramifications.
Yeah. And it definitely works well for this game because of the different areas you can go to. Because there's an ice area, there's an area which has got a lot of ground types. There's an area with lots of grass Pokemon, water Pokemon. So it works well for this. I don't know how well it would work for all future games, but I still think it's definitely a feature to keep moving forward. So you hit a really good point there, Ty, about other JRPGs have done these things before Pokemon, and it seems like they're really slowly catching up with a lot of it, because it's kind of like they got a kind of persona battle system where there's like your Pokemon's got to attack, then the next person's got to attack, then there's different styles of battle or moves you could do.
I love that that's there, and I love that you can see whose turn is coming next as well.
Yeah. You don't like
I hate
it?
that. That's not Pokemon. That for me, although I'm all over this series evolving, and I think for this particular game, that's great because there's no PvP. It's all PvE. So fine, whatever. Do whatever you want with the combat system. But the fact that I have a Crobat in my team for the specific purpose of that I can get 3 moves off before my opponent can move because of the speed difference, that shouldn't be happening in a Pokemon game. And there's a professional Pokemon player called Wolfie, and he's been doing some videos recently on this game as well that's come out. And he's been highlighting how broken that is when it comes to actual competitive play. Half of Pokemon obviously is predicting what's going to come next, you know. Say you've got your Cyndaquil out and I've got my Chikorita out. I could switch to Magikarp whilst you use Ember, and then you do no damage. But now with this current format, you pick your Ember, you do your Ember, then I pick my turn based on whatever I want, and then you pick your turn. So if I switch, you've got no risk of prediction or falsely predicting my Pokemon. It's terrible. And then like things like Agile and Strong, although again, in the context of a PvE game, they're very, very interesting. But when it comes to like anything that has any PvP in it at all, how ridiculously unfair is it going to be if online you're expecting to get a move out and suddenly your opponent's got 2 moves, or they've got an 100% accuracy hypnosis instead of a 70% accuracy hypnosis? It completely changes the balance. I really dislike it.
Here's a solution for you. Online, they don't have it.
I was just going to say that.
They do.
Yeah.
Or you could just switch it on and off whenever you want. Because like this is the thing that annoys me with Pokemon. There's never any options. It's like the mandatory XP share. Again, for this game, it works really, really well.
Great for this game.
Yeah. But for all the other Pokemon games, I want it off. But you can't now because they just have it as a mandatory. Since Sword and Shield, they have it as a mandatory.
I think it would be better if they went and made it, like you said, like toggle, like, okay, I can choose. Because what if you just want to specifically level 1 Pokemon?
Well, that was the argument with Sword and Shield, though, is that it didn't matter how many Pokemon were in your party. They all got that experience. It wasn't even splitting it between the party. It was just, oh, you got 100 experience. Actually, you just got 6 lots of 100 experience. There was no like division of experience points, which was where a lot of the complaint came from. But yeah,
maybe
give
put
me the
like
option
300 into 1.
Yeah,
or even give
exactly.
me the XP and allow me to assign it then or something. Like,
yeah. And then
there's creative ways around it.
Yeah, definitely. And there's also the fact that you can then go into an easy, normal, hard mode, which everyone, like all the retro, hardcore, whatever you want to call it, the fan base, all have asked, because there's the argument, it's a child's game, which it is. It's designed for kids. So give them an easy mode. For the people who have been playing it 20 odd years, give them a normal hard mode. You know, it can't be that difficult to just scale the levels up.
Especially in this sort of setup where you have instance worlds. Why, when you go through the game once, you get an opportunity to revisit parts of the game in post game. Why am I still facing a level 3 like Bidoof with my level 80 legendary Pokemon? It's insanity. Why is this not getting changed? And when it comes to implementing difficulty levels like that, easy, medium, hard, whatever, this is the sort of style of game where they could do that so easily because the worlds are instanced. That said, this was a really like tough game.
Yeah,
I have never ever fainted in a trainer battle in a Pokemon game since adulthood, and I lost 3 different battles in this game.
Oh,
really?
the battles are really hard. I don't know what they've done to it, but it just seems to be every Pokemon hits harder than they normally do, except yours.
Okay, well, are you doing the appropriate amount of pre-grinding before you go into a boss fight?
I have, and I've been under-leveled.
The thing is there's some boss fights where they throw out like 20 Pokemon and you throw out one.
Yeah.
There's like the evil
That's just
team
unfair.
in this are a group of sisters. And they're really cool, actually. I really enjoy them from a
Yeah, they
character
are
point of
good.
view.
Yeah.
But there's this one battle they have where one of them's got a stun tank, and it's like level 40 or something. And I had a level 42 Dewott against it because I hadn't evolved it. And theoretically, I should have won that because I'm a higher level. There's no real type advantages going on there. However, she also threw out another 2 Pokemon, an Eevee and something else. I can't remember what they were. And like the other 2 Pokemon were only like level 25. They weren't huge threats. But again, it's every turn that she gets, there's 3 Pokemon attacking my one. And then you add in all that agile stuff and quick attack and all that sort of stuff. And suddenly there's 5 rounds where my Dewatt's just getting slaughtered.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a worse one in the ice one when you get through the temple where they got it's the Rhyhorn evolution, final evolution. It's like the main one that you have to beat. But then there's the Electivire evolution and the Magmortar, I think he's called.
Magmortar,
yeah, in there. So one's instantly doing Thunder Wave on you, so you're paralyzed. The other one is just doing chip damage or even trying to poison you if you can't be hit by electric types. And then you got the big Rhyhorn dude just earthquake, well, doing grounds and rock moves, being bulky as hell. And one's like level 55 and then the other 2 are like level 30 something. Like I had to go through that match way too many times, though, I'd like to admit, because it was so unfair. Against one Pokemon, you only allowed one out.
Yeah, and I love multiple Pokemon being thrown at you because, you know, there's always been that argument when you're like up against Team Rocket. And like that you're like, well, why are they following the rules of the Pokemon League? Because they're bad guys. Why would they do that? But if they're gonna throw out 3 Pokemon, let me throw out 3 Pokemon.
Yeah. Or balance it accordingly. Like I love the idea of what you mentioned of them having like one that's like your current level and then 2 that are much under leveled. So like clearly you're supposed to take out the lower level ones first. It's obviously telling you that. But that doesn't mean it's any easier getting hit 3 times or 5 times or however many times before you even get a turn in with one out.
And it's a good way of actually making a boss fight, because Pokemon has always been quite difficult of actually having bosses. Like you had obviously the gym leaders in Ultra Sun and Moon. You had the big dragon, the Cosmo ultimate form or whatever he's called.
Yeah,
that thing was hard as hell to beat. But you know, other than that, there's not really been proper boss fights. But this one, they give you trainers that are like boss battles, and then they got the noble, noble. That's it, Pokemon, which are the big goldy ones that turns into an FPS / Pokemon.
Yeah,
which I hate.
I've got some words about the boss fight. So, to start with, thank you so much, Game Freak, for trying something new. Because it's great that you've tried to do something new. You've tried to make some sort of epic set piece for your games. However, why are they all exactly the same thing? Every single one. You go through some storyline, you get some bombs which calm them down apparently, and then you just throw bombs at them while they attack you and you mash the Y button to dodge. It doesn't matter like which one it is. There's no different dodging technique to it. There's one that charges straight at you, you just dodge. There's one that shoots you from a distance, you just dodge. One jumps up above you, it's the same dodge every time. And then you throw in the same bombs every time. There's just no like changing between them. And I know that, we're going to avoid talking about post game as much as possible. But in the post game, they do change that up. So it's still like the same base formula in that you've got some mega powerful Pokemon and you're dealing with them in some other way. But they add new mechanics to it, new challenges for you to face. And I don't understand why they left that in the post game, because it's actually really refreshing, and I'm just so bored of the alpha nobles to then come to like post game, and then suddenly I'm like, oh, this is actually different. This is fun. I don't understand why they left that so separate.
Yeah, I don't know why. That seems a
I
bit of a weird choice.
I feel like Pokemon over the years has gotten this weird kind of balance versus like the games as a service kind of games where like
Yeah.
Pokemon, you get to the end game and you get all of the interesting stuff, all of the cool things, all of the stuff you kind of want to get through. But you have that initial journey, but that initial journey is fun, and then it kind of takes too long to get to that end game that gets interesting. And instead of sprinkling some of that stuff from the end game throughout the rest of the game, like most Nintendo games do.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. They seem to just stick to their formula because they know their formula works and they don't want to deter from it. And like you say, they stick it to the post game as kind of like a reward for completing it.
But by that time, you've sunk maybe 30, 40 hours into the game. And
of doing the same thing.
Yeah, like okay, there's these great new nuggets that are there for you to enjoy. You know, they're spicy nuggets, let's say. But you get to them and you're like, okay, I've spent 40 hours in this game. Maybe I want to move on to something else.
Yeah.
Or maybe I want to take a break. And then you come back and you're out of practice, or like that's what happened to me with Sword and Shield. I basically got to the end game and then I stopped because I was tired of playing it. And I was like, okay, I want to get to this. I'll get to it at some point. And then other stuff kept coming out. So I just never did.
That was the first Pokemon game that during playing it, I wanted to play something else. And that's really bad for me because usually if I play a Pokemon game, that's it. That's the only thing I play until it's completed. But I just wanted to play Fire Emblem Three Houses so much during that time. And that was after like 100 hours of playing that game.
That might have something to do with your obsession with Fire Emblem.
But I have a bigger one for Pokemon, clearly.
Fair, but maybe they need to update their design a little bit.
Yeah,
which
they do.
You know, they really have done here, and like
yeah.
I think it's fantastic. But yeah, Sword and Shield was definitely a very stagnant moment, moment for the series, and I'm so glad to see this new.
Annoying to someone who has generally not played a whole lot of Pokemon beyond the Game Boy ones, because I don't like portable gaming. I like playing them on a TV. And so when it came out, I'm like, oh yeah, time to get into it. Let's go as a fun little nice like casual distraction, nice trip down memory lane. I seem to like it more than most people that like Pokemon, but
I liked it.
I liked it as like a side, like a spin-off sort of thing. And I was kind of hoping
it was great as like a casual little fun thing.
And I was hoping they would continue with that because I gladly would have kept buying those. And then I'm like, all right, Sword and Shield, a proper Pokemon game. Oh, it has like the open world area. Cool. Maybe that's what they'll do next. I wish the entire game was that. And then this comes out and it's like, oh, awesome. And it seems like instead of it being a full step from what you guys are saying and from what other people I've talked to have been saying, it's not a full step forward. It's like a half step. And that's great. And it feels really invigorating because Pokemon like either took a step back or didn't take a step for the longest time. But guys, we're in 2022. Like, it could have been a fully co-op. You could have been able to play the whole game with your friends. You could have been like, I'll save all that stuff for the future for when we talk about what we want to see from the series. But regardless, there's a lot of things that could have been done different.
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%.
That's not to take away from the fact that it is still a great step forward from everything I've been hearing.
Oh yeah, massive step forward.
One thing that they could have done differently. So picture this time, all right? You're in a forest, beautiful meadows surround you and stuff, and there's bird Pokemon around. What Pokemon do you imagine that would be?
Oh, geez. I don't know, like a Pidgey, or like, I'm just trying to pull them from my head. Any of the flying ones, basically.
Yeah, so like a Pidgey, that sort of thing.
Or like,
okay, so now,
or like a bug type or something.
Yeah, so you travel to the beach and you've got this glorious sand all around you and like high cliffs and similar. And what bird do you expect to see flying around there as a bird Pokemon?
Oh, I don't even remember the name, but I'm thinking of it's like the seagull one.
Wingull.
I'm bad with Pokemon names, FYI.
Yeah, Wingull. Yeah, that's
yes, Wingull. Yes, that's the one I'm looking for. Yeah.
All right. So and then you go to like a bog, steaming bog, muddy, messy, so forth, and there's birds flying around there as well. What bird would you expect to see there?
I don't know. Maybe
We've
I
gone
actually
into
don't know.
we've gone into a biology lesson here.
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently.
Well, let me just, there's 900 Pokemon in the game now, over 900, and every single area has the same bird Pokemon, or at least the same family of bird Pokemon.
Have you ever been around the entire UK? You see the same birds everywhere.
I mean, to
It's
be fair, as a Canadian, I've been around Canada and there's seagulls everywhere.
Oh, well,
Um,
yeah, there's
and
fucking
pigeons,
seagulls everywhere here.
but
Yeah. But to
I-
the argument you're making, Avalon, you have to remember this is based off Sinnoh, and I was going to say something else there. Whoa.
yeah, you did nearly say something else then.
Demonetized if I was. No, it's obviously based off Diamond Pearl, so there's only certain Pokemon that they're keeping from that Pokedex in there. Though surprising, I think even Wingo is in that Pokedex, so the argument doesn't stand for that bit. But they're limiting to how many Pokemon can be in that region. I know there's variants from other other regions as well that have managed to get in there.
I get what you're saying, but if that's the case, why are there Geodudes and Rhyhorns everywhere, but not a single Roggenrola?
because they were not hunted to extinction or mined out of existence. That's
And
why.
Rock and Roller aren't residents of that region.
Aren't they? Are they black and white?
Rock and Roller, they're the little like kind of diamond faced ones, aren't
Yeah,
they?
yeah.
Yeah, that's black and white.
Ah.
They're also an X and Y. But yeah,
My
for this
bad.
region, they weren't in this one. But I get what you're saying. But again, like it's going off like Geodudes you should probably find everywhere wherever you go anyway, because they are made out of rock and there's a lot of mountains and stuff. So I can understand there being a lot of Pokemon that you catch quite regularly. But like what you're trying to get out, I agree with. It would be nice to have a bit more diversity when you go to certain areas.
Yeah. That's
No.
my point. I'm just a bit disappointed by that, I guess.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. There is a lot of repetition of certain Pokemon, and it's weird. Like certain ones seem to be unique to a region, like the Sneasel line seemed to be unique to one area, but then you find them again in the next one, which I didn't really get that bit. But anyway, I think that was something we'll touch on in a minute.
Question though for you guys. So
Yeah.
when you're going to the different regions, because I literally haven't asked this to anyone before, once you've found a Pokemon in that region, does it tell you which Pokemon are in that region again? It's like when you like choose to go to, like, okay, I want to go into that area. Here's a list of all the Pokemon you've already caught in that area.
No, it doesn't do that. This is something that I was going to bring up when it comes to the questing system, actually. So they don't actually tell you where things are based. So you can open your Pokédex and it'll be like, oh, Starly, yeah, you can catch that in this place, this place, this place. But when you go to the region, it won't be like, oh, here, this is where this Pokemon is, or whatever.
That's such a simple ad.
Yeah.
Like comparing to Monster Hunter again. So this will make sure I understood your question properly, Ty. But like, if you load up a certain area Monster Hunter, it'll be like, in this area you might find Velocidrome and Rathalos.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be everything that you find there, just a couple of hints, or like these plants grow here or something.
Yeah, or like ones you've already found there or like encountered. Or like here's the thing for me, for completionist sake, in terms of something that keeps my mental state going in games like Pokemon and other ones where I decide I want to do everything. You have a list and it tells you what you've got, what you haven't got, where you can get it, how frequent it can drop. Like, just tell me where to go. I'm an adult. I don't have the time to wander around aimlessly like I used to when I was a kid. Just tell me where everything is. I don't want to have to keep correlating between a Pokedex and a map. Like, just tell me on the map and then also tell me in the Pokedex so I can choose.
Would you like a completionist nightmare added to your list then, Ty? Because
No.
in this
There's
Pokedex, right? No, this isn't post game. You can do this before you finish the game. As you play through the game, space-time rifts start opening around the map. You'll get random
Yes, I've seen
pop-ups
that.
in your screen saying there's a space-time rift in the area. And they're really cool. You get some really strong and interesting Pokemon in there. So the first thing that I noticed when I went into one was there was some original Sneasel. So the original Dark Ice type, not the new Poison Fighting type. So I caught one, obviously, because it's an awesome Pokemon. And then I looked at my Pokedex, and it goes into the same slot as the new Sneasel, which is fine, just as a different form. And that's fine, whatever. But I have no idea how many of the Hisuian Pokemon I can catch the originals of, because there's no indication. So it's pure luck as to whether they turn up in one of these space-time rifts. And then if I catch them or not, and at least know they exist. But there might be, like, for example, and this, I just might not have seen one, but Zoroark from the original, the Dark type, might be in this game. I don't know. I haven't seen one.
I can't even confirm that
boy.
either. But and the other thing is, when you're completing the Pokedex, it gives you challenges. So it tells you have to catch it a certain amount of times. You have to catch certain heights, so there's different sizes for them as well. That's not including the big massive hide ones that with the glowing red eyes. There's you have to defeat it with a certain type of move. They have to use a certain type of move. You have to run away sometimes. Sometimes you have to make them faint. Sometimes you have to get them to do random action. I think you have to make them eat things at times as well. There's so many additional things, and they're all different, every single Pokemon as well.
My anxiety is rising as you're saying this.
But
And I have one simple thing to say. If you have OCD, don't play this game, apparently.
Yes.
See, that particular thing is actually a really good addition. So the Pokédex levels up now. So you see a Pokemon, you catch a Pokemon, then you get it up to level 10 by doing the tasks that we've just been through. But you don't have to do all of them to get level 10. And like said, it's all unique. It's all a like, some Pokemon do have overlapping things. Like, obviously you can't expect 10 unique tasks for all of the Pokemon. That'd be a bit too much to ask.
Yeah.
But like, some Pokemon run away when they see you. So there's a task in there, catch them without them seeing you, and stuff like that. And it just gives you other ways to add to your Pokedex rather than just catching everything and killing everything and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I think that's a good addition, actually, as well. The one question I have, though, is I did hear that you had to catch 25 of each type of Pokemon.
No, not at all.
Okay.
It
Now,
may be
the extra
like,
Pokemon you catch,
yeah.
Can you just mass release them, or do you have to go through individually? Because I'm the kind of person who'll have one of each type that is the most powerful version of that, level that one up to max, and every other one is essentially trash to me beyond the completion of the Pokedex. Like, I could literally be throwing their Pokeballs into flames in a campfire, and it's like, no! And I'm like, go, become a Gengar.
There's a really good comedy cartoon someone did of that, where they were trying to get the Skibble, breeding it. This is an X and Y, and it's opening up the egg and notice it's got deformed legs, so it throws it off this cliff where there's all these other Skibbles because he's breeding it for perfect IVs and stuff.
See, there's another creature catching game.
Does it have a mass junk system, basically, is what I'm talking about?
I don't know. I haven't even looked at that.
I hadn't tried it. I've literally just turned on my Switch now to go and find out.
We'll get back to you on
another
that
game
one.
that has a similar sort of thing with that, that I have loved, and some friends of mine have loved a lot, is Neo 2. It's not Pokemon, obviously, but similar Japanese aesthetic and that sort of thing, I guess, but completely different. And with the loot system in it, it's basically like Diablo 2, with loot, just throwing loot at you all the time, constantly. But it has a mass destroy system. It has a mass salvage system, and that makes going through it not a nightmare. Otherwise, I'd be spending 2 hours in a menu after every single level of the game.
Yes, you can release multiple.
That's handy.
Okay,
because
so that's good.
Because you do
That's
that with harvesting as well. So there's crafting in the game. So you can make your own Pokeballs, you can make potions as you go along and all that type of stuff.
The bane of my existence. I hate crafting in games.
It's,
I don't
it's
hate its function, but I hate how dependent games are on it now.
yeah, it's
Yeah, every game has crafting now.
it kind of works for this one because of the region. Because obviously it's
And it worked in Breath of the Wild as well, I think. But
yeah,
like
I don't think it's something that would probably work in future ones. Maybe making a couple of like herb stuff that could like heal poison or something like that. But it definitely works for this one, definitely.
I'm livid
Right.
about the crafting system. If we're going to go on to crafting systems, I'm going to move forward into my notes and go on about crafting systems. Because what they've done is, right, firstly, the Pokeball allegedly came from Johto with the whole apricorn thing that they had going on there. And they rewrote that origin, which is fine because it fits into the game. Who cares? Life goes on. But in Generation 2, right, and I looked this up because I was so abhorred by this game. There are 8 different balls with unique catching mechanics, like the net ball where you can catch bugs and water Pokemon better, or the love ball where your Pokemon falls in love with you faster, or whatever. So the game that had the apricorn started had 8 different balls on top of your normal Pokeballs, Great Balls, so forth. This game has none of that. Yes, that beautiful, beautiful best game in the series. This one you can craft Pokeballs.
I kind of agree with that statement as well, but yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's a second category which are heavy balls, which have heavy and leaden balls, and then there's a third category which are like long throw balls, would be the best way to put them. They all don't change anything once you've caught the Pokemon. All it is that heavy balls you can't throw very far, but they have a higher catch rate, and long balls you can throw far away in a straight line. That's it. They brought in this crafting system. They had existing crafting history, and then they did nothing with it. I just do not understand these Pokeballs with the.
But hear me out. This is like the beginning of Pokemon. Like this is the first time they're even wanting to capture them because they're scared. So this is the other thing. I don't know if you know of, Ty, that people in this world are terrified of them. Yeah. So they rarely anyone has a partner Pokemon. It's really rare. So the trainers you fight usually only have like 2 or 3 Pokemon. They don't have any more than that because it's a very rare thing. Like you are a unique human being in this world. It kind of goes into spoilers.
I heard you like open up from a space.
Yeah. Okay.
Time
so
portal thing. Yeah.
There are a lot of spoilers for the end game if you go into that too far.
Okay. But yes, well, this is at the beginning of the game anyway. But yeah, you're ripped out of time and space, pretty much from Diamond and Pearl, and you're the only one that's ever done Pokemon battles or captured them and stuff. So everyone views you as like this hero because you're not scared of Pokemon because you're from a time that you're not. So my argument about the whole Pokeball situation is that this is the first time they're really working on the Pokeballs because they're still nervous to capture any of these Pokemon. So it's still like really early days.
So I think there's a giant missed opportunity because I'm assuming they were super serious with this, as Pokemon generally is, and they could have been very tongue-in-cheek. Or when your character comes out from everything at the beginning, they just run around, gotta catch them all.
Yeah, enough. At the start, you had to catch the 3 starters. So.
You do. Ironically, though, the game is more impressed with your ability, or the people of the game are more impressed with your ability to catch Pokemon than the fact that you literally have a smartphone. Like everyone's like, oh, that's cool. It told you what to do next. Oh, that logged your mission. Yeah, that's pretty cool. But wow, you can catch a Pokemon. Wow.
You wouldn't be able to do that. There would be no infrastructure.
The mouth jokes is like, oh my God, I'm in a new world. I've got to go on Twitter. Why can't I connect to anything? But yeah, you start off with a smartphone. You're basically an anime character. I know this is a game based, well, kind of like connected to anime anyway, but it's like there's literally an anime. I can't think what his name called, but it's like stuck in another world with my phone, and he's in another world, and he has his cell phone, and that gives him powers. And his whole thing is that he can Google and all that type of stuff, and it gives him superpowers. but that's the
Yes,
gist
I
of
have
the
heard of
series.
this.
Yeah, it's trying to be
I
like
don't recall which one it is.
yeah, it's trying to
My
be
buddy
like Sword
Justin would
Out.
know.
Yeah, it's trying to be like Sword Out Online, but it's literally a copycat. But the guy's got a phone, and I swear it's even in the title of the anime. But yeah, so you get a phone which tells you map location and all those type of things, and even upgrades to look like Arceus or Arceus. What is it? What is it? Arceus or Arceus?
I've always said Arceus.
Yeah.
There is a film.
Yeah,
There's
same.
a Pokemon film where he's in it. So we should probably just watch that.
Yeah, but
and then
they
we'd know.
even say it wrong. They even
Yeah,
because I've looked this up.
it's said
a
both
lot.
ways in the film, isn't it?
Yeah,
Brilliant.
even in the
Amazing.
same film. They can't pronounce it. I don't think anyone can. I do think there's an official one, but I can't for life of me. I can't think. I prefer, like you, Avalon. I prefer Arceus.
I'll try to figure out the Japanese version of it by messaging when we're done this. My friend's wife, who's from Japan, and she'll probably tell us like a name that's completely different that we won't understand.
Yeah, exactly.